Welcome everyone to a Draconis Jungle Educational. In this video, we are going to explain Draconis in detail, showing jungle rotations as well as tips and tricks for the hero to optimize your gameplay. Now, before we get started, as always, I would greatly appreciate it if you like the content to smash that subscribe button and drop a like on the video. Thank you so much, and let's get started with the video. So we're going to start here by explaining Draconis' abilities in detail. We'll start with the first one here, Dragon Flame, which has a mana cost of 125 mana. Target a unit to or position to unleash a cone that deals 85, 150, 215, 280 magic damage and applies a 0.2-second stun and a 25% movement speed slow for 2 seconds. The spell has a cast range of 825 units and a cooldown of 9 seconds. So a fairly high damage nuke there with a mini stun and a slow attached to it that has a fairly short cooldown of 9 seconds. Very, very powerful spell there. Our second spell here is Draconic Defense with a mana cost of 80. Fly to target ally building, well, a volcano, or ally destroyed tower and land beside it. If targeting a volcano, Draconis instantly flies to it. Draconis receives 15, 20, 25, 30% damage reduction for 4 seconds upon landing, while the building receives 30, 40, 50, 60% damage reduction for 8 seconds. Goes on a 3-second cooldown when taking damage from enemy players. We have a Staff of the Master effect here, which increases the buff duration to 6 seconds and allows targeting to enemy destroyed towers. The range on this is global and has a cooldown of 60 seconds. So this is what allows Draconis to have such high mobility and also prevents some damage on himself and structures upon his landing. Our third spell here, this is our primary ability that allows us to be a jungler, our Fiery Barrage. This is a passive skill, so it says passively sets a target ablaze whenever Draconis attacks or damages an enemy with Dragon Flame. A burning target receives physical damage equal to 20 plus 25% of Draconis' attack damage over 4 seconds and dealing 0.8, 1, 1.2, 1.4 times the damage to heroes. After 2 seconds, the target spreads the blaze to all other enemy units within 200 radius for 4 seconds. This blaze can spread from a unit a max of 4 times from auto attacks. Dragon Flame spreads the blaze once while refreshing the ablaze state. The damage rate is increased by 70% for each application of Fiery Barrage, each charge, on non-hero units only. Max of 5, 6, 7, 8 charges. Our ultimate here is called Cataclysm. Mana cost of 180. Summon an indestructible volcano at target location that lasts 15 seconds and resets the cooldown of Draconic Defense. Very big there. Enemies within 1000 radius of the volcano that receive damage over time, DOT, take an extra 15, 25, 35% damage from this type of damage only. Lasts 4 seconds and refreshes its duration if under the effect of DOT. The volcano's attacks split to 4 targets, dealing 50, 100, 150 physical damage attacks once every 2 seconds, and burns targets hit for 0.5, 1, 1.5% of their current health per second for 4 seconds. This spell has a 1200 cast range and a cooldown of 80 seconds. So there you have all of Draconis' abilities explained. And now, as always, we will get into some strengths and weaknesses of Draconis. We will start with the strengths. So when we think of Draconis, we think of a very fast farming jungler. He has the ability to clear stacks very early in the game, similarly to heroes like Legionnaire that come to mind. He can take those stacked jungle camps as early as level 2 and 3, very, very early on. So he's very powerful for doing stacks, and this thus gives him very high XPM very quickly into the game. And that is thanks to the combination of his Fiery Barrage, which spreads the fire, and the Dragon Flame, being AoE, spreading that blaze to all the units in those jungle camps. He is a very good tower defender with his Draconic Defense, He gets reduced damage not only on himself, but on the structure that you fly to. So very good against push style lineups on top of having lots of AoE damage. So he will also reduce that damage that he takes upon landing and to the tower or building structure itself. Also, due to that draconic defense, he has very high mobility. He's able to fly, as we said, to those structures, but also he can fly to his volcano, which is one of his primary gank tools, setting that up from 1200 radius. Draconis has lots of DOT or damage over time spells with the Fiery Barrage, the Cataclysm doing tons of AoE damage on top of a consistent 9-second cooldown nuke there with the Dragon Flame. He's able to disrupt team fights with those DOTs and disable items like portal keys. So very good against heavy portal key style lineups. And he is, due to his high mobility, he is very good at chasing down low mobility opponents. So I talked about his Dragon Flame there having only a 9-second cooldown, applies that 2-second slow and that short duration mini stun there. He is able to chase down heroes without escapes rather easily. So he is a very strong early to mid game fighting style of hero. Very, very powerful. We'll talk about now some of Draconis' weaknesses. So, due to being a hero that likes to sit back and farm in the jungle early on, get those stacks taken out, he is very vulnerable to early aggression and roaming. So, very active style of heroes that are able to run around and chase him down. He has very low mobility early on in the game. I did say he has very high mobility, but very early on into the game, he is rather slow. He has a very slow base movement speed of only 290. Uh, he is a semi-carry that likes to snowball in terms of getting that high XPM and high GPM very quickly into the game, but he is not a true hard carry. So one of his weaknesses is as a hero that takes a lot of farm and a lot of space on the map, as powerful as he can be, he does lose to an equally farmed hard carry in comparison. He is not necessarily a hard carry, more of a semi-carry style of hero. Uh, so he does rely on that snowball factor kind of kicking in for him. And then, of course, he is a hero that does not provide any kind of lockdown or crowd control for himself or his team. He does have that mini stun with a small slow to it, but outside of that, heroes with escapes are very good at getting away from the volcano and Draconis himself. He does require some team support very often to deal lots of damage throughout a team fight. Very powerful hero, but those are the main strengths and weaknesses of the Draconis. So now that we explained all his details and his strengths and weaknesses, I think it's time we get into that jungle rotation. We have the replay here set up. So in all my educationals, I like to talk about key bindings. For Draconis specifically here, we do not have multi-unit control, so it is only going to be our hero that we are going to be focusing on in terms of key binding. And we only need to keybind our hero to control 1, as I like to do personally for all heroes that I play that do not have multi-unit control here. So we're going to start here. We're going to buy Runes of the Blight and a Logger's Hatchet, and we're going to start by cutting some of the trees here on the easy camp, and later we are going to cut some of the trees here by the hard camp. And as we move through this jungle rotation, you guys will begin to understand why we like to cut those trees. So I only cut 2 trees here. This is plenty. And then I cut 2 of the trees down here. So by only buying the Blightstone and the hatchet, we save 378 gold, more or less. We are going to be going towards a bottle as our first item. Now, I've done a lot of jungle educationals so far, and I can't recall if I've done any educationals that utilize bottle as a primary item. So in this educational, you guys are going to get to see a little bit of a different style of jungling, but the bottle is going to prove to be very, very promising here for Draconis. So we're going to get that relatively quickly when starting the jungle rotation here. So before we move forward, as always, I explain this in every educational. We are not going to touch this pull camp or this medium pull camp. These camps always belong to our short lane to utilize pulling. We never need to farm this or this camp. We will only need to farm the two middle camps and the two left camps here over by the mid lane. So we will only need these four camps, and these will be plenty to give us so much farm. The only times we can even consider farming these camps is if we get multiple camps blocked in our early game stages. So we will start here. A little nifty trick here is we start outside the ring. We will start by hitting from up the cliff here. And with Draconis specifically, we're going to want to auto attack each creep individually once. And what this does is this will spread the fire as quickly as possible and kill the camp as quickly as possible. So we start with that easy camp, and we are going to be stacking both the hard and medium camp here. We use our hatchet at 53, and we use our body there, and we run up around this tree line, and that will get both of those two camps to spawn. So we see here two neutral camps stacked, and then we start once again on the easy camp here. And this, once we complete this camp, will get us level 2. We hit each camp individually. And because it's range creeps, we will take some damage here, so we'll need to use our blights. That's what we buy them for. And this is going to get us almost 600 gold. We need 650 for the bottle. So before we reach that 2-minute rune, we need to farm enough gold for our bottle. We are going to start on the hard camp. And the reason for that is we want to save the stacked camps in the middle. We want to farm them when they're triple stacked. So we're going to be getting that to the as our next step once we get to the 2-minute mark. But we're going to use 2 dragon flames here on this hard camp. It is perfectly fine to use our mana because we are going to be having a bottle coming to us as our first item. So we're going to refresh all of our HP and mana. So we get more than enough gold there. We get around 700 and change, around 750 I think to be exact. So we send the bottle there, and now we just wait to stack these camps, and we are going to be farming 2 triple stack camps here coming up at the 5-minute mark. We use our bottle, and we're going to even use a dragon flame here. We have 2 extra charges. Now, if somebody were to have camped this rune, we would hold off on using our dragon flame there, but if we can see on our minimap where the mid and bottom laners are, we do not need to worry about using our bottle as much there. So we use 1 dragon flame already. Now this is going to be very important. So we are not quite level 3 yet. We are still level 2, but that does not matter. We are going to farm 2 triple stacked camps here at the same time, a triple medium and a triple hard. So we start by pulling the triple hard down and the triple medium as well down to us. And once the camps are together, we use our breath, and we will breath both of the camps. We hit level 3 there, and we get level 2 of Dragon Flame. This is going to be the spell that we are going to be maxing by level 7. I see a lot of inexperienced Draconis players leveling their Fiery Barrage. This will not increase your farming speed. We're going to utilize the bottle and the Dragon Flame ability here. This is how we farm as efficiently as possible. So by level 3, we should have 2 in the Dragon Flame and 1 in Fiery Barrage, again with Fiery Barrage being our level 1 ability. So now we just continue to hit the creeps individually, spreading that fire between both the hard and medium camps. We use another Dragon Breath, and we will now use our bottle. Once we clean the entire medium camp, we have 500 gold. We just bought our marchers. We are going to be sending that out. We are also going to buy a TP. This is very important. So we have only a bottle and a hatchet in our inventory currently. We started again with those runes of the blight. We are going to say farm 550 gold. We buy marchers and a TP. These are all the items that we need to do our jungle rotation. So we are going to be sending out the TP and the marchers. We use another dragon breath here. We're going to finish this camp, this triple stacked hard camp. So at the 2-minute and 50 mark, we have just cleaned 2 triple stacked camps. One is a triple medium, one is a triple hard, and we are level 5 and around a third here of XP. 5 and a third by 250. We are so farmed right now. We are a little over 2 levels higher than the minute mark, and we are going to have perfect timing here to stack both the easy camp and the hard camp. And this is why we cut these 2 trees here. We have no fogged tree vision here. We use the hatchet on the easy camp, and we auto attack the hard camp. You can do that vice versa. Attack here, use hatchet. It is all going to be just fine. So we stack both of those camps. They were both spawned. They will both be double stacks now. And we use our last bottle sip there. We're going to have just enough HP. So we pull this one this way, attack this one from here. And once the two camps come together, we will be farming two stacked, double stacked, hard and easy camps. So this very important here. So we have no bottle charges and we have only 138 mana. Our Draconic Flight costs 80 and our TP costs 75. So we cannot use our Dragon Flame here because we are going to be actually flying back to base. So we are not going to be waiting till the 4-minute rune to get our bottle refreshed. It's going to be too dangerous to go for that rune. And actually no, sorry, I do use the Dragon Flame there, apologies. We're going to buy a health pot and a mana pot here, and it is perfectly fine to do that. I was getting a little ahead of myself. We'll be getting to that at the next rune mark, but it is perfectly fine to buy a health pot and a mana pot here. We're going to stack these two camps, and we're going to camp the rune at the 4-minute mark. So good. Apologies for that one, guys. We needed to use the Dragon Flame there to make sure we got the stack timing in time. So again, we attack, we hatchet, we go camp the rune here. And this is going to be very important once again. Oh no, there's no rune here. There's an invisible Nighthound who just took our rune. He was sitting on the rune. Isn't that unfortunate for us, guys? Yeah, you know what, it was. But it's not the end of the world, because as a Draconis, as long as we have mana to fly back to base, it doesn't necessarily matter that we got our bottle refilled. As long as we get that, as long as we get one of these two runes, we will be just fine. So we'll go back to farming. We'll pull the two camps together, use our Dragon Flame. This is even easier than when we did it at the 2-minute mark. We make sure to spread the fire by auto-attacking individually each creep. We keep spreading that fire, and this is what makes the camps die as quickly as possible. So this is what I was referring to. We are now level 7 at 4 minutes and 37 seconds. We kill the camp, and we instantly TP. Now you might say to me, Wig, we got 10 seconds left. Why aren't we running over to the jungle to stack the camps before we fly to the base? And you know what? That's a very good question. Why aren't we doing that? I'm going to show you why we're not doing that in a second here. So we used our teleport, our item, to port back to the base. And now we have our Draconic Defense up. We are going to buy our second Punch Dagger, which is in our stash, and a TP. We have enough gold for a TP. And we're going to immediately use our Draconic Defense to this mid tier 2 tower. So we are using our bottle sips. This happens very quickly. You guys have to make sure to pay attention here. So while we are flying with our Draconic Flight, we casted it. We are buying our second Punch Dagger and our TP. We use all of our gold exactly. And we are bottle sipping before we use our flight. So we bottle sip, as you can see, we still have that bottle sip regen and that fountain regen. We are going to get full HP and mana while we were flying from the base. And look at the timing here. We are going to be here perfectly in time to hatchet and stack with our hero here. This next camp, we are going to make both the stacks just on time, and we have a full bottle and Ghost Marchers. We are level 7 again. I believe we were at 4 minutes and 37 seconds. So our farm is very, very good. We're going to pull these two camps together once they reset and stop attacking us. We got a lot of range creeps here, so we're going to take a little bit of damage, but again, that's perfectly fine because we have a full bottle. So we're going to be just fine here, and our next goal is going to be to finish farming these camps and then go and camp that 6-minute rune. So we will continue to farm away here. We don't need to use our Dragon Breath. These creeps will be fairly low. And now we can move over to the middle camps here, where we will not kill them. We will just simply wait until it is time to stack them, because the camps actually die faster when they're stacked. So it's better to be patient and farm them as stacks. So we will go ahead and buy, here we buy a Pretender's Crown and a Minor Totem. Our next item is going to be Soul Trap. Very powerful item on Draconis, and that is what we will follow up our Ghost Marchers with. And here we are at the 6-minute rune. Oh no! Nighthound just camped our rune again. Isn't that unfortunate for us? He stole our rune 2 times in a row. But you know what? That's okay, because we're a Draconis. We have flight. We can go back to base and regen, and it is just fine. So we don't necessarily need to fill our bottle back up with the rune, but if we can get the rune, it will help us farm and possibly gank that much better. So we're going to go back into our jungle here. Again, we're level 8, a little over 6 minutes. I believe we hit level 8 if I recall. It was at 540 or something. It was very early on. We were level 8 under 6 minutes. So again, this hero can farm ridiculously fast. Very, very powerful jungler if left unattended. So we continue to farm these 2 medium camps here. We do not need to use our Dragon Breath here on just a couple of creeps. So we continue to kill them. And at this point, we should have enough gold for our Soul Trap. So once we have our maxed out Dragon Flame, we have 4-1-1-1 skill build. Now we start maxing Fiery Barrage. We do not need to put levels in the Draconic Defense. The couple extra seconds cooldown on the ability there is not better than the extra dot damage that we will also be increasing our hero damage that we do. So we will max out the Fiery Barrage second, and we will lastly max out Draconic Defense. So now we will go to this side of the jungle. We're not going to wait here to stack these. What we're going to do is we're going to kill this, and because we're low HP without a bottle, we want to kill this and go back to base so that we can start to set up ganks. In theory, Draconis can gank anytime once he gets level 6 and above. So as long as you have Volcano, you can start setting up ganks in any lane. This is very important. You can gank short lane, you can gank mid lane, and you can gank long lane as long as the teammate you're ganking with has the ability to help you deal enough damage and lock them down. So that is one of the big powers of a Draconis. He can be present in any lane whenever he wants past level 6. So for the sake of showing you guys efficient jungling, I did not gank anywhere until getting level 9. We were level 9 before 7 minutes. The hero farms incredibly fast. We have a Soul Trap, a bottle, and Ghost Marchers. We are so farmed. I just TP'd with my normal TP back to base, and the reason I do that is so that I can use my Draconic Defense to fly to a tower, which enemies cannot see you using Draconic Defense. They can see you TPing to towers, but they cannot see you using Draconic Defense. So it is important to use our TP to go to base and to save our Draconic Defense to fly to a tower to gank. So I am currently using my bottle sips. I'm healing while I am flying, as you can see on your screen. I am flying to top lane, and this is where I would gank the enemy carry. So we will make believe here the enemy carry is farming top, and we have a teammate that we're ganking with. We throw down our Volcano, we fly to the Volcano, and we set up that gank. And voila. That is going to be your jungle rotation here for Draconis. So again, I showed you guys efficient stacking, efficient clearing of those stacks, how early we could take triple stacks. We took triple stack, medium triple stack, hard when we were not even level 3 yet. Very, very easily. We reached level 5 under 3 minutes, and from there on it was even easier. We just continued to take out stacks. The big efficiency marks is when we go back to base and when we camp those runes. So again, if we get runes, if we get double damage runes, if we get haste runes, we will always want to be looking to gank. Those are very powerful runes. Even regens, they just make that trip back to base not necessary. But again, very, very powerful jungle hero here. Very, very efficient in terms of clearing stacks. If you are left unattended, you will farm very, very fast. So that is going to be the jungle rotation. And now we will go into explaining some of the different item builds. So here in this replay, I have 4 item builds that I'm going to explain to you guys. Now, the thing with Draconis is his item build is more or less going to be relatively the same from game to game. There are just some items that are very good on Draconis, and we don't really necessarily need to shy away from those items. So depending on the game, you can go some of these different builds, but for the most part, we're going to be sticking to the first and second build that I'm going to show you. The fourth build is, I would say, the next best one in terms of ranking them, and the third build that I'm going to show you is probably the worst one in terms of efficiency, but I want to show you guys the different options we can go here as a Draconis. So our first item build, once I get the items in here. So We will every single game we will be going Ghost Marchers, Bottle, and Soul Trap. These are core items on the hero. These are amazing items. The Bottle lets us farm in the jungle. The Ghost Marchers helps us, and the Soul Trap helps us set up ganks. And the Soul Trap is very powerful in combination with our DOT of our Fiery Barrage and the damage from Cataclysm. So we want the Soul Trap every single game. It's very good for ganking and disabling Bottle sips and whatnot. So very good. This first build is what I like to call the semi-carry Draconis build. So we buy a Dawnbringer as our first item into a Shrunken Head. And depending on the game, we could just go Searing Light into Shrunken Head. If the Shrunken is not needed very early in the game, we will go the full Dawnbringer. Dawnbringer is very powerful on Draconis. Amazing item. After the Shrunken Head, we can build into a Frostfield Plate, which gives us more AoE damage, a slow to kind of keep them on top of our volcano, which deals lots of damage, as well as reduces attack damage or attack speed, sorry, against enemy carries. So the Frostfield Plate, very strong, bulks us up on armor, gives us a team aura. It's very strong. So I like this as a follow-up to the Shrunken Head, but this item can be interchanged for some other items, which I'll show you guys in my next build. This one was a little bit more common in the last like 2 to 3 months, but it's kind of a little bit less popular than just rushing the Dawnbringer, at least currently. This one I like to call the AoE team fight damage build. So in this build, we would go the Mock of Brilliance as a primary item into pieces of Dawnbringer or Shrunken Head. You could either go the Shrunken or the Dawnbringer following up the Mock. Both are acceptable. It just kind of depends on how necessary the Shrunken Head is for that specific game. But with the combination of Mock and Dawnbringer, you deal so much AoE damage, so much dot damage. Heroes will melt in your face. They take so much damage. So as long as you're able to survive, that's what the Shrunken Head is for. The combination of Mock and Dawnbringer is insanely powerful on Draconis. This one is a little bit greedier than the first build that I showed you. It's going to depend on how much space you get to farm and if you're able to get away with having the later Shrunken Head. So again, this one very powerful. Next, we will go into our third build, which again, I rank them in order. I would say this is going to be even less efficient than the next build I'm going to show you after this one. But this one I like to call the tanky frontline build. So Draconis is a strength hero. He is able to kind of jump into the front lines of the team fight with his volcano. He kind of initiates for his team, but he doesn't really have crowd control. So that's what makes this build a little bit iffy. So if they do end up focusing you, if they have lots of AoE damage that they can't really control, then this build is going to work wonders because you're so tanky, you deal so much damage naturally as a Draconis, but you're also going to be reflecting a lot of damage with the barbed armor. So we would build into items like we would upgrade the Soul Trap into a full Dreamcatcher. This is really good if we play against heroes like Oogie, just anything that thrives on lots of healing. I guess Dampier, maybe even a Predator once his Stonehide gets taken down. Stuff like that. The Dreamcatcher can be very good against specific style of heroes that like to have lots of healing. Then we can build into items like Barbed Armor, Behemoth's Heart, Demonic Breastplate, or even a Barrier Idol, depending on if we need magic armor. Those are very good items, and that is going to be the tanky Draconis build. So this one I think is going to be the least popular, but it has its niche from time to time. And then this one is going to be our last build, which I call this one the utility Draconis build. So we go for the Dawnbringer, and again, we would have a Soul Trap, but we would sell it by this point because it is too small. We keep the we could even sell the bottle and keep the Soul Trap. It is preference. But we would go into a Dawnbringer and a Shrunken Head. So again, we would be that semi-carry style of Draconis. But if we lack Lockdown in our team, and they have lots of hard heroes to catch and kind of deal our damage to, we would go items like Sheepstick into Restoration Stone. The combination of Sheepstick and Resto Stone on Draconis is insanely powerful. This build can be very good depending on the game. And with the Restoration Stone, we get double Volcano, double Sheepstick, double Shrunken Head. We can fly like to the base, back to the volcano. We can fly, in so many times. It's so crazy having a Restoration Stone on Draconis. This is a really good late game option. And this utility build can be very good depending on your team composition and what the enemy team has. If they are very slippery, hard to catch and sit on and deal hard damage, then this build is very, very good. So that's going to be the four main builds I would suggest for the Draconis. This one I would put actually in third place over the one that I showed you previously. So now I just want to show you guys a little bit of tips and tricks here before we close out the replay. So I will show you guys, let's see here, we're going to fly. So just going to show you guys some things that we can do with Draconis, how we can use our Draconic Defense in conjunction with our teleports. So here you see me flying to a tower to mid lane. I'm going to throw down my volcano. Now we can TP back to the base. So let's say we were fighting, the team fight was going on, our volcano was still alive. It's got a cooldown here that we can see how long the volcano lasts for. We TP back to base. Let me just show you guys that one more time. We TP back to base, and now it resets our Draconic Defense once we use that volcano, and we can fly back to the volcano. So it looks like I rewound it a little bit too much there. We TP back to base, and we're going to instantly use our Draconic Defense, and we're back again in the middle of the team fight. So maybe we took some damage, maybe we got low, we escaped, our volcano was still down, but we were able to fly back to the volcano. So there you go. You can TP, put the volcano down, TP back, and be back once again. That's how much mobility this hero has. Crazy stuff. So that's going to do it for the item build choices. Now I will go over some of the late game items that we could possibly buy on a Draconis. So one of them was Frostfield Plate. I talked about Frostfield Plate, and this will give us extra slow and attack speed reduction versus hard carries. So if we're against hard carries that rely on attack speed, we want to be tanky and have that extra slow factor. Frostfield Plate is very, very good on Draconis. I'm not going to go over all of these items that you see in the guide. Again, some of these are perhaps a little outdated. Not all of these are necessarily the best, at least currently, but I'll go over some of them. Demonic Breastplate. So similarly to Frostfield Plate, but this one, in comparison, this one gives us extra team armor, and it gives us pushing presence. We win a team fight with Draconis. He's a very good team fighter. We have this extra armor and minus armor debuff now. We can push towers very quickly as we do deal lots of right-click damage. The Draconis is going to excel in tower pushing with the, excuse me, the Demonic Breastplate. I talked about Sheepstick. Sheepstick's not on my guide here, but honestly it should be. I would put it in offensive items most likely. But Sheepstick, if we need extra disable for catching escape heroes, or if we want to catch heroes before they get their shrunken heads off, we can use the volcano, fly to it in their face, and use the Sheepstick. A lot of the times we will be able to do that to catch the other team off guard before they're able to react in time. So the Sheepstick is very powerful as a late game item. I explained Restoration Stone. Again, that's not on my guide, but it should be. So I'm telling you guys that now. Sheepstick and Restoration Stone, they definitely should be on the guide. Restoration Stone will give us double Volcano. We would buy it most likely after a Sheepstick, so we would have double Sheepstick. We would probably already have a Shrunken Head, so we get double Shrunken Head. Very, very powerful. I explained that when we went over those item builds for the utility build there. And the other one I want to talk about is Rift Shards. We would get Rift Shards against high HP pool enemies. Rift Shards gives us a lot of extra physical damage, and it makes our DOT, our Fiery Barrage, do a lot of damage. We get 1.4 times the damage. We get 20 plus 25% of our attack damage, and then we deal 1.4 times the damage to heroes. So throw some crits on top of that. Very, very nice. Let's see here. I don't necessarily recommend items like Hyper Crown or Staff. I think the Staff of the Master is not that good of an effect. We could definitely buy Behemoth's Heart if we want to be a frontliner, but again, I explained that in the frontline build. And items like the Barrier Idol and Barbed Armor are more so situational, as well as the Symbol of Rage. The Savage Mace, in comparison to the Rift Shards, again, we really only want to buy Savage Mace if we're countering Wing Bows. So that's when we would buy the Savage Mace. But otherwise, the Rift Shards as a damage tool for Draconis would be better in conjunction with the Demonic Breastplate. We need lots of attack speed. So those are going to be the late game items there. So in this video, for Draconis, for tips and tricks, we talked about efficient stacking and clearing of those stacks, how early we could take them and how to take them. I showed you guys how to use the Draconic Defense with the Volcano and how we can do that back and forth with our TPs and stuff. And one more big tip that I want to give to you guys, which I see a lot of inexperienced Draconis players do, is do not buy barbed armor as a first item. I see a lot of Draconis players, I feel like they just don't know what they should be buying and they default mode into buying a barbed armor. Barbed armor is not that good on Draconis unless you are a threat. Unless you are dealing lots of damage, you have a damage item or a way to cause a lot of havoc in a team fight. Because what happens is with a barbed armor is if you use a barbed armor, they're just simply going to run away from you and it's going to be a waste of 2,000 gold. On its own, you are not that tanky with just a barbed armor picked up. So this is a mistake I see a lot of inexperienced Draconis players do. You are not a Legionnaire or a Cthulhu font forcing people to attack you and deal damage back to you. A lot of the times people can just run away from you. So Draconis is not that style of hero that rushing a barbed armor is going to be good and effective on. You're going to need to be dealing lots of damage or be against certain style of heroes that can't control their damage and they end up dealing damage to you without meaning to. So unless you already have damage, something like a Mock, something like a Dawnbringer, having a barbed armor as a first item is not going to be efficient. So we can definitely buy barbed armor on Draconis, but not as a first item. So that is a very, very big one that I wanted to make sure to get in here before wrapping up the educational. But I think that that's going to do it at least for tips and tricks. So if you guys enjoyed this educational, again, please remember to like the video and subscribe to the channel. And as always, I will be doing a part 2 follow-up video here to the Draconis Jungle Educational where I will analyze a replay and explain to you guys my decision making that I made throughout the match. So thank you all for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the educational, and as always, I hope to see you in the next one.